Right, so we're going to look at network questions, and some of these questions we do need to do a little bit of digging deeper on some of them, because there's always the trap where you can fall into maybe not putting enough detail on those questions. So this question here says, describe the advantages of using a computer network rather than a standalone machine. Now what you've got to do is understand the things you can't do with a standalone machine first. For example, on a standalone machine, you can't share files with anybody. You're alone, all right? Means you're cut off from anyone because there's nothing connected. So you've just got to assume that there's no wireless, there's no network cables, it's a machine on its own. So think of the things you can't do, and then that's going to help you know what you can do on a network. So let's go for a few suggestions here. So we've said here, one advantage is that you can share files, okay? So on a computer network, you are able to share files. All right. Now, on the back of that, there's something else you can share. Hardware. All right. I was pointing to the printer there because it is a piece of hardware, but that's an example of a networked resource. Do you know you can get projectors that you can share on networks now? Have you ever seen your teachers broadcast?
Oh yes, plugins.
Yeah. So you can share network hardware. Often we don't discuss this sort of thing. Now, what else is a benefit of having a network?
You said that you could have a whole network, and then you could and a bunch of computers, and you don't have to log onto the same computer each time to log onto your account.
It's not where I'd go with this. All right. These are your two easy points that you'd probably be your go-to, but there's something that we do regularly every night. Somebody's just said that. Shout it out again.
Backups.
Yeah. All right. Central backups. When I'm on a network, I can do a central backup. That means all of your files and every night are backed up. So if you've lost something, we can restore it. But we use the cloud now in school, so it's not going to really affect you. But generally, there are businesses that still have their files stored on site that need backed up. All right. The other thing that I'm able to do to you, think about when I'm in the lesson, and think about Senso. What's that called though? It's not called. You can't put down in your exam Senso. Begins with an M. What do you think, Ralph? Give you a hint. You're looking at one. It's another word. So yeah, I monitor you. All right. So in a lesson, all right, because I've got a network, I'm actually able to monitor people, monitor their actions, the things that they do. So I'm able to monitor, all right, the actions of a computer/individual, okay? And improve communication, we're going to say. So that's where we're heading with that. So you can improve your communication, you can monitor the actions that people are doing, so you can do central backups, share network hardware, and share files. All right? Now, moving on to our next question, we have, state 2 reasons why biometric authentication measure is better than password. I'm going to pick on you again. What is biometrics?
Biometrics like a thumbprint and stuff like that.
So you're close, all right? So what you've got to be careful of, that would be my go-to if I was stressed out in an exam situation. I'd be like, yeah, sure, I know that, it's my thumbprint. No, it's unique data of an individual, such as a thumbprint, an iris, that sort, your eyes, your voice. It's unique to that individual. So what you've got to acknowledge within this somewhere, I know it's only 2 marks, all right, but biometrics can't be copied. So that is one reason why it is more secure. It can't be copied, it's unique to that individual. Whereas with a password, somebody can guess it. They can know your credentials. So write that down, all right? So state 2 reasons using biometric is better than a password. So I'm actually going to flip this. I'm going to show you the 2 sides of the coin with this rather than just the one side. I'm going to give you benefits and drawbacks. So we've got benefits, all right, and drawbacks. So one drawback of using biometrics is if you're working in a team and you need a member of staff to access something and they're off sick. All right? So if you work in a team and the member of staff is absent, you've got no access. All right? Now, a benefit is for individuals as staff. Can you forget your thumbprint? No. Can you forget your voice? Not really. All right. So staff cannot forget their biometrics. All right. Yes.
So out of curiosity, if you had like a voice like recognition system, but the person who held the bank account lost their voice, would you just not be able to access the money at all?
Generally, there would be some sort of like you'd contact that there would be another way into the system. All right. So if somebody has lost their voice or there's been, I mean, that is a drawback. All right. If you're asked the drawbacks, I'm going to say of voice recognition. So voice recognition, it can be difficult to recognize regional accents. There's a video online of a voice activated elevator somewhere, which is quite funny to watch, where they tried to say floor 11, but it's in a Scottish accent, and they're like 11, and it doesn't work. So just take something from that sometimes voice recognition can be flawed by the regional accent and so on. The benefit of not having a password we can also have is shouldering is minimized. For those of you who don't know what shouldering is, it's like when somebody looks over your shoulder at an ATM. All right. So remember, we discussed that this year. You need to check for security cameras around the ATM, that sort of thing. Yes.
Could a potential drawback if the biometrics are the same, like for twins and stuff? Because I know some of them are the same.
Yes, but I wouldn't put that in an exam because it's very rare. Like that happens. You being one of those rare points, but it is rare. But that's why they have other biometrics for that as well. So, right, and we're also going to say a benefit of that is a lower risk of hacking. Lower risk of hacking. All right. Now, we've got a question here. All right. So remember, this question was about a games cafe evaluating their security. I did skip over that bit. So why would it not be appropriate for a games cafe to use MAC address filtering? Now, before we answer that, let's look at what how the games cafe would work. How do they work? Well, if I went into a games cafe, how would it work? Yeah. So they've got a LAN of computers set up, yeah. But what I would generally walk into the shop and then I would say, what? It's a games cafe. Can I rent a computer? Can I add my own device onto it and join your network? That sort of thing. So could you imagine a games cafe is working and it's serving its customers, it gets busy. how long is it going to take to add somebody to your allow list or your deny list? Yeah? You know how you've got like a white list or a black list? You've got to think about the time it takes. In a cafe situation, that's not appropriate. So what we're going to say is that the network needs to be available for everybody. All right? So network needs to be available to all members quickly, and we won't know, all right, we won't know the MAC address. If somebody comes in off the street, we don't know their MAC address of their phone or their what's it called, MAC address of, I'm just going to say device. That being said, that question could be extended to have, so you've got a black list of devices, but you can also have an allow list as well. So that's not actually in the mark scheme, but I'm trying to preempt other sorts of questions that you might get there. You can actually you can create an allow list. So basically, unless you do know the person, but you wouldn't do it in a cafe. You do it in a school. We do it in school. Yeah, you know when some of you may have bought your own Chromebooks in, all right, but they add you to the network. They have to get the device in and allow it, okay? We've got here, when two computers on a network communicate with each other, they need to use the same protocol. What's a protocol? Yep.
A protocol is a set of rules that two devices use to communicate over a network.
Bang! You literally perfect answer there, all right? So it's a set of rules. So you'd get part your mark for saying a set of rules. That's one part. So that's your 1 mark. For establishing communication between two devices. All right. Apologies for my chicken scratch writing there. I'm trying to get through this quickly, and then we'll do the other side of the paper. Right. What's the purpose of HTTPS? I'm hoping somebody falls straight into my trap on this one. What is the purpose of HTTPS?
Is it that it's basically like HTTP but with encryption to allow you to able to transfer data securely?
What have I told you in the examiner's report? They said lots of students lost marks for saying it's encryption. Still not where I'm looking. Yeah.
So do you have to be more specific and perhaps say that the only two parties that can access the data would be the server side and the client side?
No. All right. First of all, we need to say what it's used for. What's it used for? What specifically is it used for? Yeah. Right. So you get a mark there for acknowledging that HTTPS is used for sending and receiving web pages. All right. Then another mark for it is using, all right, it is using an encrypted connection. So don't say it is encryption, you've got to acknowledge that it's encrypting your connection while sending and receiving web pages. That is in the examiner's report as a thing it's flagged up, so just so you're aware. Now, this question here, alright, I've already done in another video for you, if you go back through networks, but just before I cut this video off, there are 4 layers. To remember them, it is ATL. Alright, so you've got application, transport, internet, and link. ATL. Yeah. All right. There is another video where I've gone through this question on networks. So if you go through that playlist, you will find it. But ultimately, you've got to acknowledge that the application layer is where you've got the email client, the web browser. That's to do with handling the application itself. Transport is where you are basically getting the packets ready. You've got the transport layer, which is you're establishing that communication and splitting it. The IP address, the internet layer adds the IP address and the packets, and the link layer operates at the network layer. Okay, it's the physical hardware, but there is a video with more detail if you want to go back over that. All right.